Today we have Amanda Leavitt from Cerulean Tides on the show. Thank you for joining us today, Amanda.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
I've been super excited about doing this interview because I've been a longtime fan and follower. I don't work a lot with acrylic, but I did purchase some black and white acrylic from you within the past couple months. I see and follow you online, and you, as well as your company, have a tremendous reputation in supporting and helping the laser community. So I've got a ton of questions I want to ask you tonight, and I'm sure everybody who's listening and watching is going to be excited to hear your answers and be inspired by you. So let me first ask you, before you launched Cerulean Tides, and before it became what it is today, what were you doing?
I actually joined, I guess, the laser community
Mm-hmm.
partly because of my sister's inspiration, but professionally, I was actually working as a seventh grade life science teacher.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. So laser was a side hobby for you at the time.
Yeah, so I was probably following the Glowforge laser specifically for about 6 months before I decided to purchase it.
Okay.
But the original intention was not only to do things with my sister, I guess I can talk about her in a little bit, but it wasn't just to do things with her, it was also to use the laser to make curriculum based pieces that I could incorporate into my classroom. That was the biggest thing for me. So it was a little bit of family, a little bit of school education purposes. And if I didn't make anything that was tailored to the curriculum, I figured it would be great for a reward because
Mm-hmm.
they're always creating things for their friends or their families, gifts, things like that. So I figured it would be a fun piece of equipment to put in the classroom at the time.
Oh, so you actually had your Glowforge in the class.
It didn't make it there. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my
Okay.
story is a little very windy at the beginning, and I'm finally getting more settled with the laser life. But it really all started with being inspired by my sister. She was creating onesies, she was creating paper things. She was using a vinyl cutter. I believe it was a cricket. She had a cricket.
Okay.
So she was using the cricket to make things just for her parties and the things that we did with our family. And we're five girls. My oldest sister has two girls, and our grandparents are around. There's just so many of us that every time we threw a party, we wanted to make custom things, but it got very expensive, and trying to find someone to do it in the time frame that we planned things was just challenging. So Sierra started making things, and I started seeing advertisements for this Glowforge laser cutter, and I was like, oh my gosh, we can make things together and I can get it into my classroom. And I had followed it for a while, and to be quite frank with you, I had surgery. I had an infection. I was going through a very, very low point in my life. And that was actually what made me decide to just finance the laser. I was like, I don't have the funds, but life is short. Go for it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I got the Glowforge laser. So it was sitting at my house, and this was in June, so it was over the summertime. So I had no experience with digital design. I had only followed the advertisements and the Facebook groups that were out there. I had no experience. So as soon as I got this machine, and I feel like this is kind of before it like really blew up, because when I ordered my laser, it was on a Monday morning and I received it that Friday. Like it
Oh,
was
that's
just
yeah.
that
That's
fast.
that's unheard of today,
Yeah,
right?
it was just that fast. But I got this laser and I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to design. And at the time, I was like, okay, do I want to use Inkscape? Do I want to invest in something like Adobe Illustrator? So I was just trying to learn as much as I could over my summer break. And then I had gone back to the new school year. This was going to be my fourth school year teaching. And I went there for teacher planning week. I got my room all set up, everything was colorful. And I just had this gut feeling. So this was after the surgery and this like really low point in my life. And I was just, physically and mentally, I didn't feel like I was all there. And because of what had happened to me, I wasn't able to finish the last school year. So like the last month, 2 months, I wasn't even there. I couldn't go back. So I had a talk with my principal, and I was just like, I'm just feeling this type of way, and I don't want to put myself in a position where I can't finish the school year again. And I was like, I got the room all ready. I'm like, I'll leave everything just as it is. So all you have to do is bring someone new in. And she says, we are covered. Like, just take your year leave. We'll get someone in here. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I had a wave of relief. But at the same time, I just financed this laser and now I'm not working. I don't have any income and I'm still learning how to use the design program. So I would spend, I don't know, hours. I was up till 2, 3 in the morning, days on end, just trying to learn basic shapes in Illustrator, super, super basic shapes. And as I was learning every step of the way, I was sharing it just on my personal Facebook. So then I had family friends that were interested, and I had someone request my very first project, my first paid job ever, was 6 keychains for a family, and it was using the clear acrylic that my Glowforge came with. And they wanted to add color. So I was like, okay, I can engrave it. I can paint fill it. No problem. I got her this set. She loved it. Her family loved it. She's like, we might want another batch. Is there any way you can get colors? I was like, let me try. So my ex at the time had actually mentioned that he was buying boat supplies like starboard and things like that from a local plastic distributor. And I went there, no idea really what I was talking about. I just told him about my laser. I told him the sample products that I had. I said, is there anything like this but in color? Because the Glowforge shop has these options. What do you have? And they gave me this long sample chain full of all these colors. And they're like, we don't have these, but if you decide you want to try them, we can always get them in for you. But they only sold them in full 4-foot by 8-foot panels. And so I guess if you're thinking Glowforge size, you get 20 Glowforge size pieces from one panel. Well, when you're first starting, the last thing you need is 20 pieces of yellow acrylic. So I had reached out in one of the Facebook groups and found a few local people to me here in South Florida, and they split colors with me. We each chose a few colors. We all split it. And all of us were here in South Florida except for one person. She's in California. So I don't even think I was the one who shipped it, but I was the one who got all the acrylic together. And then one of the other group members, our little South Florida buying tribe, she's like, I'll ship it, no problem. I said, okay, we'll use the large flat rate box. Here are her colors, ship it to her. So we shipped it to her, and she sent me this photo of how she received it, and it was in terrible condition. It was a large white flat rate game board box, which I think are discontinued now. I still have some, which is great, but I think they've since discontinued them. And I was like, okay, so we can ship this. We'll just have to ship it a little bit better if she wants more. I wanted more colors, and my buying tribe was not ready for more colors. So I was like, okay, let me just buy it, and I could just shove the extras under my TV stand. I'll put some in the hallway. I'll put some in the. I started accumulating colors way too fast. So then my local friends were telling me, oh, well, there's a classified listing in the Glowforge group. They do once a week. You should list those extras there. So I listed them there. Word of mouth spread. I was doing this for 6 months. So I'm still learning how to use my laser. I'm still trying to reach out to people to get jobs. And in the meanwhile, I have everyone messaging me, hey, can you send me this? Can you send me this? And at one point I had a plain white sheet of paper, and I just had all the different sample chips on it. And I said, take a screenshot of this paper with all the sample chips on it and just draw the quantity of how many you want on top of it. Like, this is how rudimentary my systems were. But COVID hit.
Mhm.
COVID hit, and I couldn't keep up with the demand. I couldn't keep up with communicating with everyone, putting together the invoices, getting everything sorted out. I just couldn't keep up with it. And I had started a website for my products. So I was like, I've only sold one product through my website, and it was to my Uncle Timmy. Yeah, Uncle Timmy. But anyway, I was like, I think it's time to switch my website from selling products to selling acrylic, and that will help the customers. Like, the whole time it was just what will make it easier for the customers. So I switched over the website, and this was April of 2020. I believe it was April 1st of 2020. And ever since then, I've just been trying to get better with the website, with our processes, with our team, with all the logistics of running a business. And I had no intention of starting an acrylic company. Like, I wanted to make things with my sister. I wanted to make things with the kids in my classroom. I wanted to have something to do in my free time that wasn't just sitting around watching TV, you know?
Mhm.
So I kind of just got so lucky the way all the chips fell. And when I realized that, this is a business, I think, I'm kind of all in. I have just been trying to get better as a business owner because I've never owned a business before. So there's just so many things that going with my gut has helped me with, but that will only get you so far.
Mhm.
So just the logistics now are kind of the tricky part, but I'm finally getting things settled with the acrylic side where I can kind of go back to my roots and use the laser to make things. So that's kind of how everything started. I got the laser to make things. The acrylic surprised me and just took off. I had no intentions of doing that. And now that it's still a growing beast, but I'm able to manage it so much better than I was before that now it's like, okay, I have lasers, I can make things. So I'm
Mhm.
going from wanting to use a laser to selling acrylic to I want to use my laser. So here I am, and that's kind of where you caught me.
All right. It's amazing, how it wasn't luck. It might have been good timing, but like, you were there to identify the opportunity and take it to each of the next steps, right? So you talk about your website, and I've been on your website plenty of times, and I mean, the photographs that you have are beautiful. Are those photographs that you're taking yourself, or do you have somebody professionally do those for you? Because the consistency, the detail of all the samples, you can really, really tell, even via the web, what the designs are going to look like when they show up.
Thank you for saying that, for one, because product photography is one of the things you should master as an e-commerce business. Photography is really everything when it comes to selling your product. If you see two things side by side, it could come down to which one just looks better in a photo.
Mhm.
So thank you for saying that because it's actually one of the things that I'm trying to get better with right now.
Mhm.
I have gone through many phases of photography. And if you look at some of my more basic colors, the ones that are like 9.99 and less right now, white, black, the fluorescence, I've had those since the beginning. And if you go to those specific ones, you can see all the phases of photography because I didn't get rid of them. I'm like, the more photos, the better, right?
Yeah.
So, at first, I think I was just taking a picture of them on my wooden table.
Mhm.
And then I tried taking them in a white photo box that I got off of Amazon. I've
Mhm.
tried cutting them into puzzle shapes. I've tried cutting them into starfish. I have tried engraving them because a lot of people want to see the samples, like how will they look engraved.
Mhm.
I have had my girlfriend, Crystal from Riley Black, at one point she took all of my collections and she photographed all of them. If you look at the photos that have a black base and the acrylic is wedged perfectly in the black base, That
Yeah.
was all crystal. And then after that, I started putting a piece of clear acrylic down and then the color kind of diagonal off of it. I've been playing
Mhm.
around with so many different types of product photography, and we're actually getting ready. We've been building another website in the background over the last couple months, and product photography is a really, really big one. So I love when all the collections are put together, but I kind of want to have themed collection photos, and I want to have all the collections to have consistent photos, because some of the more recent acrylic styles that we've put up there, they might be on this. Oh, which side is it? I don't know what side you can see on the camera, but if you see a
Yeah.
marble background in some of those photos, I think
Yeah.
for like the new two tones or maybe even the neons, I just so I wouldn't necessarily say a professional is taking them, but it does take a ton of time. And I would say the biggest thing that I learned to do to keep them all consistent is I would have something propping up my phone, and
Mhm.
I would have a little like sticky strip on a specific spot. So I would just take one piece off and stick another one down. So even
Mhm.
though it looks like it's standing all on its own, I actually had put a little piece of sticky underneath. So that way
Mhm.
the placement is consistent every time. Where the phone is consistent every time. And then when you go to edit it or you crop it, I choose the square shape and I use the grid lines to help me determine how far to zoom in or how far to zoom out. So
Mhm.
there's a method to my madness, but I don't have it down to a science yet.
This type of behind the scenes information is going to be fascinating for people that are trying to start their business. And
It's
there's
not
so many.
easy.
No, it is not. And so many people, I think, feel that they need to have all their ducks in a row before they can launch anything. And the way that you may not feel this way because you're in the thick of it, but the way that your business presents itself on the web is like totally buttoned up, totally professional. Everything looks really good. Like it just, I mean, like it's pro. And to hear you say that you're, taping stuff up and using your phone to take the pictures, and that even you're not happy with some of the angles and things, that's so like down to earth. And and it helps people, I think, who are just starting their own thing, to know that, hey, listen, you don't have to have all your ducks in a row before you start. Here you say you started with 4 colors, and with a, what did you call it, your buying tribe? I love that.
Buying tribe, and
Yeah.
that's not like a thing. That just kind of worked.
Yeah, I mean that's just, it's very, very inspiring, to see someone who's attaining your level of success and is still a rocket ship heading upwards. For those just starting out today, or not even starting, just watching this and thinking like, oh, I'd like to start a laser business, or maybe I want to offer coasters for people to engrave on, or whatever the case may be. So as you're growing, so far all the stuff that you're telling me is stuff that you've done personally, and that's how it works when you're an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
So can you talk a little bit about the team that you've put together and who's now helping you behind the scenes?
Hey team, I love my team. We're a very small team. We've always been a very small team, but my team has also been fluctuating over the years.
Mhm.
So when I first started, I was working out of my duplex. I told you I had acrylic kind of shoved in my TV unit, and then it morphed into the hallway, and then it morphed into the second bedroom, and then it morphed into having a full on Home Depot rack in my bedroom full of acrylic. Like it just kind of went crazy. And one of my girlfriends at the time, who I met through my ex, she would come in and help me pack orders while our friends were just hanging out front, chatting, drinking, whatever. And I would pay her. Anyone who's ever helped me, I will always pay. I don't care if it's friends or family. Like to me, that's your time, that's your effort. You should get something. And I will have people who are very stubborn and they'll say no. And I'm like, okay, let's go out to eat something, like
Yeah.
something. So when I first started, I had my girlfriend Patty with me. and she's still with me. And she is the only original person who is still with me. And the reason why she was starting with me is because she worked at a restaurant, but they had shut down for the pandemic. So she was looking for work and I was looking for help. So she started working with me. Crystal from Riley Black came on. She started working with me part time.
Mhm.
And then she started her Etsy shop and she blew up. So her part time turned into her doing her thing. And we still work together. She makes my subscription stickers and we work together pretty well. But I have Patty, I had Crystal, and then I had moved into an apartment all by myself for the first time ever. I felt like such a big girl. And one of my neighbors, I actually knew her from a couple years ago from a mutual friend. So she had a job in makeup, and I told her what I was doing. She's like, "I'll come help. I'll help you." And this was my girl Margot. And for anyone who like knew Cerulean Tides a couple years ago, Margot is like my right hand man. She came to like the That Mom with the Laser events with me, and she loved the laser. We made projects on the Big Nova. We made projects on the Glow Forge. We practiced with the pass through, and I had so much fun with her. And I needed more help, so she brought her friend Michelle on.
Okay.
So since then, I've lost Crystal. I've lost Margot. She went back to makeup. Michelle went back to the restaurant industry. Then my sister Lauren, who's 21 now, she joined my team, and her friend joined my team. And since then, they have left. And my other sister Sierra came on. So currently, I have Patty with me at the Fort Lauderdale shop.
Mhm.
I also have Diana at the Fort Lauderdale shop with me. She's helping me with, she used to be a business owner herself. So I would say she's helping me with more of like those um, upper level tasks that I'm not really familiar with. So she's helping me with funding. She's helping me build the new website. She's helping me do property research. She's helping
Mhm.
me get all of the bookkeeping in order and doing research on supplies so that we can get our pricing down. She's helping me put together all the data we've been accumulating for our shipping so that we can work with carriers and try to get our shipping rates down. So
Mhm.
I would say she's kind of doing more of those upper level tasks. Patty is helping me every day with all the processing. She's helping me with the inventory. She's helping me with the restocking, with the packing, with the labeling. And my sister Sierra is managing the Stewart shop. She lives up north in Port St. Lucie, which is about an hour and a half north of us. But she's managing all the subscriptions, all of the large cuts, and running the Nova 14 out of the Stewart shop. So there's
Okay.
myself and three other amazing women on this team. And yes, you're an entrepreneur and you started this business, and you should be able to do everything on your own. But you can't grow like that.
No.
It's not sustainable. And if you truly want to serve your customers better and you want to grow, you need to build a good team. And it's not easy to do. Like, even having friends there, having family there, it's not easy. And we serve such a colorful, creative community.
Mhm.
Think about how you would feel knowing you're in a very creative community, but you're just labeling and packing and shipping and lifting heavy boxes all day and dealing with vendors and dealing with shipping issues. It starts to like kind of wear down on you, and you're like, I want to make things. So
Yeah.
as a maker, being in a supplier position, it's been very, very challenging to keep a staff, because at the end of the day, you're labeling, you're packing, you're shipping, your body hurts. Like, it's
Right.
a lot of physical labor. A lot of people joke about me. I'm not going to like flex right now, but whenever I'm like maybe putting my hair up or stretching or whatever, they're like, Amanda, you got some muscles. I'm like, that's all that acrylic. Like,
Hey, listen, if the acrylic thing doesn't work out, maybe you could start like a new workout program that involves lifting
yeah.
stacks of
We'll show
acrylic.
you how it's done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super, super grateful for my team. And one of the biggest things I've always stressed since I started was getting them on payroll, having an insurance plan, having 401k benefits, being able to pay them for holiday days. Like, even match, not even just offering 401k, but matching it with the max percent. I'm allowed to match it. Like, for a small startup business, it's unheard of.
Absolutely.
I think it's unheard of. But I was so blessed with a lot of demand and little to no competition when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my team has been everything. So I'm always trying to find ways to make things better for them around the shop. So it's like, find good people, keep good people.
Oh, it's so critical. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So you're outlining so much work and your hands are touching all of it.
Hmm.
So how, as a entrepreneur, growing a business, managing a staff, dealing with suppliers, getting hit with a pandemic and navigating through that, how do you stay so grounded, keep it all together, have any personal life whatsoever? How are you accomplishing all of this?
I don't know if I have an answer for that, because I always feel like I'm juggling something.
Hmm.
And sometimes you have to pause that to say, I do want to hang out with my friends at this event. I do want to just shut everything down and watch a movie with my boyfriend tonight. Like,
Hmm.
I'm cooking tonight. I'm putting up the Christmas tree. Like, there's always going to be something to do. Might be laundry, might be dishes, might be emails, might be putting out fires with email. Like, there's, problems happen.
Hmm.
And um trying to stay on top of social media and getting photos out there and being active and still being a part of the Facebook groups and answering questions, it's not easy. So if anyone out there is watching this and you think I have it all together and everything's super easy and organized and it flows really great, I deserve an award. Because it's not true. It's hard, and you have to actively choose how you're spending your minutes. And sometimes I have to drop things to make other things a priority. Um, so I guess it's just trying to do all the things all the time. And the more you do it, the more you find little pockets where you can fit other things in. And
Hmm.
you just get better at managing all the things that you have to do. And I used to not be a morning person. I didn't want to get up very early. And now I'll wake up like clockwork without an alarm. And I'm like, I should get up an hour earlier. I'm getting out of the shop at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'm like, I should stay for an extra hour. Like, there's always going to be that extra incentive to stay or do more and work on this and what about that. But you just have to be very efficient every day with every minute. And I would say using my calendar has been huge.
Hmm.
Having a list, like a physical list, I have a list sitting on my counter downstairs and I have a list sitting at my shop, and I just keep adding things to it. I keep reprioritizing it. Um, I've I have a great team, so I'm able to delegate things. Um, but
Is
it's
that hard for you to delegate to the team? Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs, they want to all themselves. Is it hard to delegate?
um, it was really, really hard in the beginning, and we made a ton of mistakes. But I had to learn to let go. And every time we made a mistake, we fixed a part of the system.
Hmm.
So I would just say I've I've been able to get better with delegating, and we've been able to minimize errors because everything is a lesson. The saying, like, everything is a lesson and everyone is a teacher. That's how I approach my life. That's how I approach problems. I'm very solution oriented. Um and I just try to do the best I can every day.
So, if anybody follows you online, one of the things they know about your company is that you're always innovating. It seems like Cerulean Tides is always coming up with a new color, a new pattern, something cool that you haven't had before. So what is your process for that? Like, are you, like brushing your teeth one morning and all of a sudden, like, you run for the notebook because an idea came up and, you want to jot it down, or, are you laying in bed at night, like thinking up like the next cool thing that you're going to offer your clients? Like, how does that happen?
Um, at first, I just wanted to see what I had access to.
Mhm.
And then I felt like I unlocked a new superpower when I learned I could have custom colors made. And then I started reaching out to manufacturers, and like it could be something. I'm going to show Crystal's keychain thingies, but it could be as simple as saying like, I want an acrylic sheet in this color purple. I would
Mhm.
send them a photo of this, or I'd give them an example, and they would send little strip samples for me, and we would get the shade right. Anytime I could have a custom color made, I love having the option of one side being a matte finish versus one side being glossy. So a lot of those colors that we've had made, you'll notice one side's matte and one side is glossy. And then I learned I could even mix up my glitters. So we're able to reach out to manufacturers to get custom colors made. We're able to reach out to them to have different glitters blended together,
Mhm.
and it's very exciting. So I talked to my vendor today, and he's like, "We're working on that specialty batch for you." So I'm hoping I'll have it in the next week or two. But I've had a lot of people request, which one is being made? I don't want to speak out of turn. I have a couple coming. This one might be gold, red, and green, something like that. But I had a lot of requests for those for Christmas, and then a lot of gold and red
Mhm.
for like sports and things like that. So
Okay.
we're start custom blending our glitters. We're able to get new colors made, and on top of that, almost everything that we offer, with the exception of maybe 12 colors out of 250 plus styles, there's maybe 12 we can't do this for. But in addition to offering all of that, yes, we have a website, yes, we have sizes that we sell, but we can offer those, ship those, have people pick up locally larger sizes than that. So not
Okay.
only are we working on new colors or new custom blends, but we're also able to offer those in bigger sizes. So very exciting.
Okay. And when you work with somebody to customize a batch or a design, that is unique now to Cerulean Tides, right? So that's not something you can get at another supplier because you gave your specs, your design aspect, and they're making that just for your company.
While that is true, I don't have any exclusive deals with any of my manufacturers.
Hmm.
Anyone, anywhere, with any manufacturer, once a color code is created, it can be recreated. So anything, even if it is something that I have made exclusively for Cerulean Tides, if someone figures out where it's coming from, whether it's direct from the manufacturer or they can source it through a different distributor, they can start carrying it too, sure. But as far as competition goes, I'm having so much fun, and I'm so busy doing my own thing that it's like, that might have been a big deal to me when I first started, because other than like the bigger companies that were offering plastic or acrylic sheets, like there was
Hmm.
no one offering this hobby cut to size, ready to ship, all these different colors. Like it just wasn't there. And when I
Hmm.
saw new competition starting to come in, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna lose all my customers. What do I do? And I like, it was something I was genuinely worried about. And um now, like, I see the reality of it. I've grown so much as a person, we've grown so much as a business, and any business owner, even competition, like if you're really in it, you're so busy. It's good to keep your eye on competition, of course, but like you're so consumed with what you do, and all you want to do is serve your customers better, that it
Hmm.
doesn't matter. So if someone else gets my colors, they get my colors. I actually had someone, this was back when I got my muted pastels. I had some competition in their Facebook group saying, "What do you do when a former teacher plagiarizes?" They got mad at me because I started carrying a set of colors, and I'm like, I actually thought those were custom made for me, and I'm biting my tongue, but you chose to publicly say that about me. Okay, so I've learned even if you operate in good faith and you have a positive attitude and all you want to do is serve your customers, there's going to be people out there who say things or who assume things or feel a certain type of way. You have to be strong enough to know that it doesn't matter. Just keep doing you, do good, grow.
Always take the high road.
Yeah, there's too much to do.
So I know that you have a pretty cool product that not only has a different type of finish on one side and then on the other side, but there's actually a core of that product where if you can dial in your laser power properly, you can kind of expose the core for like another effect on the acrylic. Is that
Oh, the
correct?
two-tone acrylic?
Yeah.
Why, yes, I do have some of that. I'll grab a couple. I brought my samples today. So here's some example of the two-tone. Let's see where this camera is. This is hilarious. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell the black one. It actually has a little bit of like a leather texture to it. It's not real leather, it's faux leather. But yes, you can dial in your settings and you can engrave it so it looks like that. The back
I'm gonna have to make this the tile of the YouTube video with you holding up two squares on your forehead.
Like this. Hold on, I can't even get them even. Why does this ever mess with me?
It looks like old school 3D glasses, like if you go into the movies and you have the yeah, there you go. That's the one.
I got it for you. All right, so yes, we have two-tone in lots of different styles.
Okay. And I know there's a lot of confusion in the groups. You hear people talking about like cast acrylic versus extruded acrylic. For people that are new to it and don't understand what that means, can you share a little bit about that?
I think the most cast versus extruded acrylic comes up is when it comes to engraving. And when it comes to which acrylic smells really bad. Those are usually the two questions that kind of bring up cast versus extruded. And they're both acrylic, they're just made two different ways. So cast acrylic is something where a liquid is poured into a glass mold. And then extruded is something where material is actually fed through a particular thickness. And if you have a specific material like two-tone or like the mirror acrylic, those are extruded materials. So they're known for having more consistent thickness. So for people who are prototyping, you actually don't really want to use cast acrylic because the variance is much greater just because of how it's made. Like with that mold, even the tiniest bit being off in those corners, like I get some of those batches where one end looks like 1/16 and the other one looks like 3/16 or even quarter inch. And I'm like, what were they doing with this mold? And we kind of have to sort those things out and we put them in like our seconds or our misfits. But so the benefits of extruded is that it's more consistent in its thickness and it has really nice edges when you laser cut it, like even nicer than cast acrylic. It just gets really nice and melty. But it doesn't engrave very well. So cast acrylic, it's going to cut great. It's going to have consistent thickness, but it doesn't engrave very cleanly. And that just has to do with the mixture. So there's, I might pronounce these words wrong, but there's a heterogeneous mixture and a homogeneous mixture. So the hetero is not consistent. Because the material is not consistent, your engraves won't be consistent. Think of like when you're engraving in a bamboo cutting board, you're going to get different variations because of those different grains. So with extruded acrylic, you're going to get some areas that look nice, clean, and frosty, and then some that are going to look melty, and it's not great for engraving. When it comes to cast acrylic, however, Extruded acrylic smells really, really strong, but there are also some cast acrylic styles that smell really strong. Um, Glow in the dark is a cast acrylic, smells terrible when you cut it. But then you have mirror, which is extruded, and that's also going to smell just as bad. So,
Mm-hmm.
in general, the best material to use with the laser is cast acrylic because it doesn't smell as strongly. It's going to cut and engrave very cleanly. If you are prototyping or you're not worried about engraving, you can go with extruded acrylic. But if we had the option to only have cast acrylic, we would only have cast acrylic. But because of the more specialty styles are only available in extruded, yes, we do carry both. So
Okay.
two-tone is extruded, and then the mirrors are extruded. So this is
Those are very cool.
we just got some new ones in. But yeah, these are extruded. So the mirror has a gray backing.
Okay. And
And
you'd cut it on the back with the mirror side facing down.
yeah. So there are some people who will cut with this face up. Mirror comes with film on the top, which is laser safe. You can cut with the film that's on the mirror acrylic. It's not very laser friendly though, because the edges might get a little melty and then it'll start to affect the edges of your acrylic once the heat gets under that film. So I always recommend to people take off the film masking and replace with paper.
Okay.
In addition to that, your laser works with mirrors. The whole point is to bounce the laser beam concentrated power to a particular area. So if you have this mirror facing upwards and the laser beam hits it in a way where it bounces back in itself, you could affect and damage your optics. Mm-hmm. So anytime you're working with mirror acrylic, I suggest to not only remove the film masking that's on the face, but paper mask both sides and make sure the back side is facing your laser head. Okay. There's a bunch of other tricks that people use with laser cutting acrylic. They use the damp paper towel underneath, or they raise it up with anything. Some people use scrap. Some people actually use like risers to raise their material. That all helps reduce the flashback.
The dish soap trick.
The dish soap trick. Yeah, I love it, but it's messy.
Yeah.
I was actually doing something with Emily for That Mom with a Laser and her course, Laser Launch Academy. And I wanted to test out the Dawn dish soap method, but I had to do, I was a farmer scientist. I had to do all kinds of trials. So I did some with Dawn on both sides, Dawn on the top side, Dawn on the bottom side, with the damp paper towel, without the damp paper towel. Do I want to raise it? I tried so many different things. So the kind of like sweet recipe I found for myself was wherever I'm going to engrave, remove that section of masking and only put some Dawn dish soap right there. Don't do it on the whole sheet, Amanda. So I put a little Dawn dish soap on the surface where I'm engraving. I keep the paper masking underneath, and I also put a damp paper towel underneath it. So that way, the bottom, which isn't getting engraved, it's going to be one clean peel. You don't have to worry about a bunch of little pieces. One clean peel on the underside. The damp paper towel kept all the flashback. It prevented all the flashback. And then the Dawn dish soap, I didn't have to weed anything. Once I peeled the bottom off, I took it out of the laser, took it to the sink, rinsed it off, and it was done. So my preferred laser cutting hacks, I guess, is Dawn dish soap on the surface if and only being engraved. Otherwise, I'll just stick with masking. So Dawn on the top, paper masking on the bottom, damp paper towel on the laser bed. Perfect every time.
All right. So if there's anybody watching who's brand new to this, and they want to become a customer of yours, they want to try their hand at acrylic, what are some of the industries that use acrylic, or what type of projects use acrylic? Like, how should they explore?
Well, As I have been in this business for 3.5 years now, I have been so fortunate to see and learn about all the different types of applications. And one of my first customers, he actually was the one who was encouraging me to get 1/4 inch colors,
Mhm.
specifically fluorescence. And he actually uses acrylic to customize sneakers. So he customizes sneakers. He makes his own shoe boxes. If anyone, I've talked about him before. If anyone wants to go find shoebaker_ATL on Instagram, pretty firework. Really, really cool. So there's the sneaker industry. I had a local customer come in. They found me off of Google who owns a towing company. They came in to purchase acrylic because they wanted to light up like the 24-hour tow sign on the side of their truck. So there
Okay.
are people in the auto industry who are using it. Not that I've seen someone with my product use it for this application, but there's also a lot of speaker boxes in cars and things of that nature being used with acrylic. I've also made a, what would you call it? Like a decal, maybe? I made an acrylic decal that someone put on their car. They just
Okay.
kind of thermoformed it with a heat gun so that it matched the shape of their car.
Mhm.
So cars, shoes, they are laser cutters, but they're laser cutting the acrylic and then they're using it to make molds, like resin molds.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
There's a lot of people who don't have a laser, but they're using it just to paint. They'll paint like a background color on one side, and then they'll hand letter on the front side. I've
Okay.
seen signs like that being used for events where they have like buffet areas set up and they have the menu written out. There's a
Mhm.
lot of people who do wedding charts like that.
Yeah.
So even if you don't have a laser at all, you might be painting it, you know?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I'd say the sign industry is huge. You can get into the automobile side, you can get into the branding and promotional item side, you can get into the gifting side. And because it's acrylic, it's a thermoplastic, it can be thermoformed. So I've seen people making flowers with it. Like they cut the petals and then they use the heat to like shape the leaves and the petals. And I think like that's one of the most exciting things about what I do is like there's so many different industries that acrylic serves. And I just kind of came in focusing on the glow forge size sheets. Like
Yeah.
it exposed me to such a broader creative community, even
Mhm.
beyond the laser community. That I'm like, this is so amazing. I just freaking love what I do. I really
I
do.
can tell. I can absolutely tell, it's like, you're so energetic and passionate about it, which
Oh
is great to see.
god. I
So,
like want to apologize, but that's just
no,
who I
there's no,
am.
absolutely nothing to apologize about. So, when customers are thinking about, buying from you and, they've never worked with acrylic before, they've never worked with your customer or with you before, I would imagine that one of the things they'd be interested in is what kind of support they can get from your company after they make a purchase. Like, so the box shows up, they have their very first piece of acrylic, they load it into their Glowforge or whatever laser they have, but they have questions. So how do you handle that? That's got to be a big part of your business as well.
Yeah, I would say a lot of it is just kind of streamlining everyone to the email because we have so many eyes on our email info@Cerulean Tides. So on our packing slips, we have a little note from the store.
Hmm.
It does say how they can reach us, they can call us, they can email us. But we also have a Facebook group as well, and it's called Cerulean Tides Laser Supplies and Studios. So they can always join the group. They can ask questions there. Either I will answer it, my sister will answer it, or someone in the community will answer it.
Hmm.
And more recently, I've been going live in my group, which is
I've
very
seen.
new. So I tell everyone, I'm like, I'm going live. It's just, I'll tell you some updates. I'll show you some new products. I'll be here if you have any questions. If you want me to run anything on the laser or troubleshoot something for you, like we are here to support you. So it's not just we want you to buy from us and good luck, learn from the community. It's we want you to feel comfortable using our supplies, whether it's acrylic or the 3M adhesive sheets or the standoffs or the paper masking or the plastic razor blades, whatever it is that they're getting from us or whatever products we're starting to incorporate. We want to show them how to use it. We want them to feel confident. And I think that's kind of like the perfect I guess segue into where we're going next. Is like I told you, we're getting our systems down. We're trying to keep things simple. Nothing's ever simple, but we're trying not to overwhelm ourselves with all these amazing opportunities that are staring at us. Like that's also one of the hardest parts of my job, is knowing what to say yes and no to, because there's a lot of exciting things and there's a lot that you can make work, but you also have to make sure that you're staying true to your core product and what you're known for and what you're knowledgeable about. And our goal is to like branch out to showcase what products can you make with this, what happens when you try different settings, or what happens when you're working with mirrored acrylic and you try these different types of hacks. Like I don't have a YouTube channel or anything like that, but I do have my Facebook group, I do have my Instagram, I do have my Facebook page. So I've just been trying to get better, finding these little pockets of time. I've just been trying to get better with showcasing, like, what are the types of products people are buying? What are they turning them into? How did they get there? Where did they mess up? And what hack did they try to like fix this? Or people are asking about what types of glues to use, or that's where we're going. We want to showcase these FAQs in a way that will help them learn and feel more confident.
That sounds very exciting.
Yeah, lots of work to do.
Yeah.
Lots of work to do. Just add it to the list.
So I have one last question for you. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. So for folks that want to find you online to learn more about you and Cerulean Tides, what are the portals that they should go to?
Well, our handle, we try to keep the same across the platforms that we're on, which is at Cerulean Tides Designs. And we have our Facebook page and our Instagram. And then you can always join our Facebook group, which is Cerulean Tides Laser Supplies and Studios.
All right. I'll put all that information in the description of the video. We'll do some overlays on top as well, so everybody knows. So again, thank you so much, Amanda, for spending the time with me tonight, talking about yourself and your company. And I'm looking forward to all the cool new stuff that you've got coming down the pike.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Darren.
All right. Thanks.